Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Firm, special edition AIA 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here today with a listener from the podcast, Lucas Reames. He's the architect and director of Trimble Consultants, excuse me. Lucas leads Trimble's consulting group based out of Los Angeles, California, previously Gary Technologies, and is co-founder of 060, an Accelerator program focused on design and technology for the AEC industry. He specializes in assisting design and building professionals and powerfully delivering technology on driven projects. Having worked in the USA, Latin America, and Asia, he has consulted on a wide range of project typologies, including entertainment, transportation, higher ed, sporting complexes, retail, commercial, and cultural buildings. A lot of stuff. Lucas, welcome to Inside the Firm. Thank you for reaching out after hearing our request.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here. Looks like it's an exciting event, and yourself opening up the platform, and which is sort of also just being able to listen to your podcast. Historically, went from episode 1 all the way through, so happy to be here. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, glad to have you. Yeah. It made my day whenever I get an email from anybody like that, like if they're just appreciating or something like that. Every once in a while, I'll get a nasty email, and that we just kind of laugh at it. So we're super glad to have you on. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about right off the bat was how you actually followed some of our advice and submitted a proposal that was trending with your hometown news. So tell us about that submittal, how it went, what the project was, and if it's landed you any work or anything that's come about because of it.
Yeah, so that was interesting. My wife actually runs her own firm, and I also have quite a few other colleagues out there that are starting their own businesses, and so although myself, I have my day job at Trimble Consulting, we thought that it would actually be interesting to sort of form a group and create a proposal to, get some excitement built around some of these businesses, both AVR Interior Design and also the Urban Design Collective with Steven Nieto. And also in particular because it was just such an exciting opportunity to be able to give back to the community. Myself, born and raised in Reno, they're actually redeveloping a lot of land right next to the Strip it used to be an old bus depot. I took that bus growing up.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. And so, we knew that there's going to be proposals, and we wanted to be a part of that to be able to see what we can offer to the future of the downtown Reno area.
So the city was an RFP from the city?
It was an RFP from the city. They had maybe about 3 other proposers. We came in late. Typically, everyone else had around 3 to 4 months to prepare. We were after the deadline, so we're not heard by City Hall, but still at the same time, was able to sort of build up a lot of, momentum activity, some perspectives from the city coming back, and then some of our team members are following up with some of the other proposers that are likely going to actually win the project.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you just put yourself out there. You never know if something good is something come about it, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But if you don't ever get anywhere unless you put yourself out there like that. So I think it's applaudable that you guys did that. I'm glad. It's really cool. And I took a look at the renderings. It looks like a cool project. I wish you guys would have got it.
Yeah, and all of that was done in maybe a period of about 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Including the entire proposal, the text document, which, wonders of Google Drive and Docs where you could co-edit. And luckily we happen to have a team that thought of everything about from the finishes to the look and feel and textures of the spaces to the architecture all the way to the urban planning and access and landmarks, and so that team was the only way that we were able to knock it out in about 3 days.
Yeah. Well, and what was? Tell everybody what the project was specifically.
Our proposal?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what was the RFP? It was asking for just a redevelopment of this area, right?
Yeah. So the RFP is basically there are 2 existing buildings on the site, and it was the old bus depot, City Center, And this location was sort of abandoned for some time. The city was trying to figure out what to do with the space. So it was an open call for proposals where you could either adaptive reuse the buildings themselves. You could do new builds, looking for all types of program, ways to engage the community, and also specifically to look after the downtown action plan and the future of the area that with some of the goals that the city has set forth. So interestingly enough, one of the winning proposals took into account one of the adjacent properties, and that is actually sort of a failing city building right now. It's a bowling stadium where it's only utilized when the bowlers come in to use it as a national bowling stadium. So they were able to use that as part of the project that they proposed.
Yeah, very cool, man. So did you get any press out of the thing, or are you guys just kind of let the project live on a website, so that that's one of the things I think the beauty of those things is that it becomes part of your portfolio, right?
Exactly. We just missed by about maybe 12 hours getting on the news in Reno. So that's where it comes down to the point where we submitted the day before the city convened on the topic, and they did a news highlight, and they actually showed all of the images. So from everybody's proposal. So we just missed it, and we could have actually been a highlight because we have the local. We would have been the local team that went out beyond Reno to sort of get an architecture education and then come back and reinvest in the community, whereas most of the proposers were actually outside of the community. So we could have been a part of that story, so we slightly missed it, but we did sort of get some Twitter action and different different engagements from some of the media.
Yeah. See everybody who's listening, this works. I'm telling you. I've done it. Lucas almost did it. It was just by 12 hours. Yeah. But it works. So look out for those things, because you just never know who's watching the news at the right time, the right developer. They see you, and then they decide, from 3 or 4 different proposals on something like that, and they're like, yeah, but I like those guys. Like that idea, I want to work with that team, on this project or something like that. So you also work for Trimble Consulting, which is formerly Frank Gehry Technologies, and that's the curvy, swervy, cool facade. How do we make these crazy Gehry buildings work, right? Yeah. Tell us about what you do there, and what does and how that technology is working right now for other owners, architects, engineers, contractors.
Yeah, and absolutely. And actually, behind us, there's a big cardboard cutout of one of Frank's projects. Yeah. Just over here. So Trimble Consulting. So we grew out of Frank Gehry's architectural practice as Gehry Technologies many years ago. Early adopters of digital project delivery, and have used a lot of interesting and exciting technologies along the way to get there. I would say historically, just aside from the technology, there's been this huge history and legacy around how you engage with the builders, right? So, actually taking in subcontractor feedback along with the design process, design build, all these different things, but doing it in a way where you're actually really leveraging the technology aspect and digital project delivery to be able to execute some of these, in the early cases, some of Frank's complex work, but really expanding beyond that and working with a global list of architects, engineers, and contractors to drive technology-driven projects. And that could be infrastructure. It could be about what's the most effective way to excavate dirt and rock out of a ground for a transit project, or it could be a high rise, and what's the way that you can make an economical facade system, or it could be around how do you drive innovation within a firm, working across different offices, and how do they collaborate and leverage structured data to sort of do some of these bigger challenges, which is managing risk on projects.
Can you give me? So that's exactly. You brought up one point in that I've always been interested in. Everybody has been, when I was in architecture school, Gehry was it, right? Everybody wanted to be Frank Gehry, and they would come out with all of these crazy shaped buildings in architecture school. And as a guy who has been a carpenter since he was 13 and is now a contractor, and I'm building and I'm working with all my subcontractors, and they are teaching me and closing the feedback loop for me on certain ways how to build stuff, where I'm like, oh man, yeah, okay, we'll design it this way next time, just a little tweak here and there, and it'll work. how does that work then for something like Frank Gehry's building, where, like, what are the can you give me an example? Like, what is this a subcontractor has told you of, like, if you guys would just do it like this, it'll work better, or like how to make those things happen?
Yeah, well, I could give an example of projects in general. A lot of times there's a concept architect and an executive architect, and you're sort of going through this design development process and moving the details along, moving the sort of all the way from the party to the programming to everything that goes into making a building. And a lot of times you're making assumptions. So what the subcontractors and fabricators, material fabricators, you name it, we work in a world where there's a lot of different hands on a project, and we all can't be experts on it. So it is really a team process. So the key, an example, you asked for an example, would be where, let's say you create a typical detail. You say this typical detail should cover these situations, these circumstances. Well, if you actually go through and take in the requirements from the subcontractor that says this is where it might break, there's limits, there's always tolerances, these sorts of things. If you apply that to the detail using 3D data models, and you construct that detail and wrap some analytics around it, then you could do color-coded spreadsheets, whatever they may be, that tell you exactly where the detail might break, and then you have to go back in and say, wow, I didn't realize that 20% of my details didn't work in this case.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Got it. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. What is that? Have you had any interaction with the subcontractors where they see this crazy organic shape, and like, are they using lasers to make it work? You know what I mean? Like, how? Like, what is it? When you boil it down, like, how does your software intersect with them in the field? Are you guys ever going out there and helping them pinpoint data points so then they can make the skins happen? So
that's where Trimble plays a big role, actually, just in terms of field technology. We're talking about everything from laser scanning so that you can do comparisons of as-built to design data, and obviously, once again, going around tolerances and checking where, if something is maybe out of tolerance, whether it be a seam or whether it be a structural deflection or whatever you're looking for, all the way down to sort of robotics and automation and construction. And so I mean, it's a big topic, and you can take it a lot of ways, but subcontractors, a lot of times, you have different levels of sophistication, and some have a very streamlined process around how they work, and some don't. And so we tend to make it less about the technology and more about the results. So sometimes you could be using some advanced technology in the field, but in a sense, nobody really gets bothered by it or is worried about it, because it's just built into the workflow, and it's really just about delivering the results both for the sub and for the project in general. Yeah, rock and roll. You guys do cool stuff. So you've recently launched a 3-month design and technology focused accelerator program called 060 that is geared towards helping a new generation of innovators revolutionize project delivery across the AEC industry. What is 060? How's it been adopted or received so far? Yeah, 060. So I'm a co-founder. The other co-founder, Herman Aparicio, he also works with us at Trimble Consulting. We had our first round just in the last year. Actually, it went over very well. We're very pleased with how it went. It was, I'd say, a learning experience. I'd say that maybe some of our companies that we had in the first cohort, we learned just as much from as they learned from us. So it is a non-equity-based accelerator program, which, it's an incubator where companies would apply. If they're accepted, we run them through the program. The program consists of actual free office space, access to, reviewing business plans, marketing resources. Some of probably the most valuable things that I think some of the groups have found was around, access to clients and client feedback, because they're trying to build, software and technology that will sort of be the future of professional practice. And so access to some of these clients that would be using it is really, really key for them as young companies. And we're happy to see that through this accelerator program, a couple have already been funded by some pretty major funding sources. So it seems to be working out, and we're looking to grow the program and to see sort of how how we can help foster the next generation of technology.
How do people apply to be accepted?
Okay, 060.io, and this week we're actually launching our summer cohort. So if anybody's interested out there that is actually starting a company, thinking of it, or knows somebody that is starting a company around AEC technology, then steer them towards 060.io, and they could fill out an application there, and we'll get in touch shortly.
Very cool, man. And you're in charge of saying yes, no?
We have a process around it.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. So you've also decided to take the real estate development pledge with a project you've titled Spaceman House in the Joshua Tree Desert. What prompted you to take this plunge, and where are you at in the development process?
So Spaceman House is actually a unique opportunity for us. I mentioned my wife being an interior designer earlier, and we actually it kind of ended up being a perfect storm of situations. We have some small real estate investment out there that's sort of I would say is more along the traditional side of things, and so we decided, after I actually just recently got my my architecture license, both to do our first professional project that is our personal professional project, not working for the companies that we work for, and then in addition to that, being able to take some of the money out and invest it in ourselves and our own project. And then at the same time, it's in Joshua Tree, and we love stargazing, and it's sort of a passion project from that sense. It's close
Is that where
to
the
us.
name comes from? Spaceman House? 'Cause
Absolutely.
You're thinking about space?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to talk to Al Gore. Next time Al Gore's got an interview, then you guys talk about space all day.
Yeah, we got a mounted telescope, and it's just a go-to mount, and we'll pull that thing out and just spend hours out there looking at the stars.
Very cool. So where are you at in the process?
So the process, we just got our survey done. We're simultaneously, going through the design. It's actually great being here at the expo because we're, being able to talk to some of the vendors and suppliers and see if there's anything that we can integrate. It is a single family residential project, so it's nothing major. We're sort of in a way taking our time with it, which is not sort of the traditional developer model, because eventually you might want to get it on market sooner than later. But with that said, we'll probably be going for permit in the next few months here and start building.
Very cool, man. That's exciting. Well, congratulations. I hope it goes really well.
Yeah. Thanks.
So switching gears, I have some questions that I've been asking everyone at the conference, and I'd like to hear your take. Okay. So the first one is, with the exponential growth of technology we've seen in the last century, it seems that automation is inevitable. Are you at all worried that we will lose our professions to automation? And you're a tech guy, so
yeah. I guess. I've built my career on automation, right? So
you're the guy to ask.
for me, it's an odd question. But everyone around me is probably sick of hearing me talk about it, because I think that if you look, everyone thinks with Rosie the robot, they're going to take housekeeping jobs. I still see people on our street that both have a Roomba and a maid, right? So I mean, there's probably a lot of different analogies that you could use. But I mean, even today, I took my first self-driving car ride on the way to the convention, and there's two people in the car making it happen. So there's, where there's automation, there's jobs to help automation, right? So that's one perspective. The other perspective is automation is built in our life, left and right. The lights are turning off and on. Our cell phones are helping us do things, so it's just it's already sort of ubiquitous. And I think as architects, we sort of we don't really think of ourselves as integrated within the tech industry, but we already are as people.
Oh, yeah.
So as people we are, why don't we just accept it as professionals?
Yeah. To me, it allows us to do, like one example is, there's an app I use for my email, and I don't even think my employees know this, but wow, how is Lance sending out all these emails at 5 a.m.? Well, he did it the night before or the weekend before, and he's ahead of you guys. For me, it allows me to just do more stuff and be more effective and be ahead of the game. So yeah, I'm with you. I think rather than us being Luddites about it, let's accept it and embrace it, and then just utilize it, because that's the beauty of technology. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about humans, right? Is we solve problems with technology. We can make things happen. All right, next question. 3D printing was expected to transform architecture and construction, but uptake of it has been slow. Once technology has been adopted, how do you see architects adopting it, and will it usher back in the architect as master builder?
So, I think maybe why it was so interesting early on is because, you could get small 3D printers were available and people can use them and you could actually make models, right? So the fact that it became accessible very quickly and economical to be able to start testing the technology created a lot of excitement around it. In terms of, revolutionizing the building industry, I think it will be a part of it. But buildings are large, complex systems, right? We have a lot of different components that are part of being a building. So a 3D printed object, whatever it may be, whether it be a wall, whatever different components are being printed, will be a part of that project. I think that from my perspective, I would almost replace the word 3D printing with, construction methodologies, which I think that we're going to see a lot that are actually going to transform our future as architects and builders. Is everything around prefabrication, but prefabrication not in the traditional context, but in the new business models, right? Where we're seeing a lot of interesting companies out there that are able to both leverage vertical and horizontal supply chains to create a kit of parts to build a building, which is nothing new to the profession, but the business models are, which is allowing a lot of adoption of new construction methodologies.
Yeah, rock and roll. Cool. Okay, last one. It's been 10 years since the Great Recession, and it seems like we are due for another one. What is one piece of advice you would give to a small firm architect or business owner as we near the end of this business cycle?
Yeah, so business cycles happen, and the market sort of is hot, or sort of coming out of it, I guess. But so there's a lot of hopes and dreams about the future, where maybe those of us that have been around the cycles in the past sort of know how it works. So in terms of advice, I would say start thinking about it now, because the last thing you want to be is that that entry level architect to a firm that ends up finding out about it late and the hard way when everyone else already found the backup plan. So what is the backup plan? There's a lot of different options for different people. Some people would say to diversify, whether it be your income or maybe your knowledge set, so that you become marketable for other types of industries, which is also maybe important for a lot of the conversations that are happening here at the AIA conference, because there's sort of this question: is what is the future of the profession, and are we losing our employees to other industries? And I would say that if we expand the pie and we think of other industries as being part of the building profession, which a lot of them are, then folks out there can start building the knowledge and skill sets to still be involved in the design and building industry, but maybe through a different lens.
Yeah, diversity, right?
Yeah,
I think diversity is key. Skill sets, knowledge, being able to do all different kinds of things. That for me, that's it too. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on Inside the Firm today, Lucas. I'm so glad you reached out and we got to talk to you. Where can people get and follow you? Where can they get in touch with you and your company?
So our company website, trimbleconsulting.com. If you want to follow along with our progress on our house, it's spaceman.house.
Oh, cool! Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you're out there and you want to talk to us about 060, it's 060.io, and I'm on Twitter at Lucas Reames.
All right, thanks so much.
And now a word from one of our sponsors.
If you work with specifications in your firm, you've probably come across outdated manufacturer specs and confusing notes. Not only does that happen, that also happens with code books too. And I'm ashamed to say it, but sometimes you're just researching a code online and then you're like, oh, is this 2012, 2015, 2009, 2006? Am I in a county? Do they even have rules? So you don't know if they applied. The same thing can be true for your specs. So you don't want to find products that no longer exist, or even companies that no longer exist. And trust me, I have done both. Maybe you even pay for specifications. Well, don't do that, because there's a better way to find manufacturer specs for your products and documentations, and that's ArtCat. ArtCat.com is a free library. It has over 1,400 up-to-date, accurate specifications. Up-to-date and accurate are the keywords. They're written by FCSI, CCS, AIA professionals based on manufacturer data. ArtCat uses powerful search engines to find the right specifications for your products and downloads them in multiple formats for free. You don't even have to register. Look at that. Easy, convenient. Go to arcat.com and get the information you need. That's it.
Welcome to Inside the Firm Special Edition AIA Conference in 2019 Las Vegas. I'm here with Arlynn Reames, founder of AVR Interior Design. Arlynn has over 15 years of experience in providing design services to architects and project owners. Projects experience includes mixed-use commercial, retail, hospitality, high-end residential, and film staging, working alongside and consulting for firms such as Steinberg Hart Architects, KAA Design Group, BCBG, Invus Design, Kimball Office, and many other local architects and contractors. Arlynn brings a complete understanding of the design, documentation, and construction process. Arlynn, welcome to Inside the Firm. Thanks to you and your husband for reaching out after hearing our request for have listeners on, such as yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's kick things off with, so you recently took the leap to leave a comfortable 9-to-5 job to start your own firm.
Yeah.
What prompted you to take that leap?
Oh my gosh. I just couldn't do the 9-to-5 thing anymore. It wasn't anything to do with having terrible bosses or colleagues. They were all great. But I just wanted some creative freedom, and I wanted to be involved in the full process and have control over it, and also reap the benefits of being a business owner.
Was it easy when did you break the news traditionally, put in your 2 weeks, or was it laid off, fired, anything like that? Like how did it all happen?
So I was working at a firm. It was a great firm, and I got approached by my mentor, who is amazing, and I look up to her, and she needed some consulting work, and that I saw it as my out. I took that opportunity, and from there I built on and looked for more projects. As soon as I had the consulting position with her secured, I put in my 2 weeks because I saw freedom.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good. No, freedom is everything. I mean, literally, freedom and happiness are 100% everything. So you already had some moonlighting work that you could kind of use as your base, right?
Yeah.
How did you starting out then branch out from there and start getting more clients?
I started networking everywhere and anywhere I could. I started going to the city events and just meeting people, contractors, local business owners, and just, really telling everybody, I'm for hire as a designer. And working with the contractors, they recommend you for other things because they typically don't want to do the design work. Mm-hmm. So once you start a good relationship with someone, it snowballs. So just really manifesting it and putting it out in the universe that I'm doing this,
Yeah. And so are you busy enough to the point now where how long has it been how long have you been on your own and with your own firm?
It's been 4 years now
on
my own.
Yeah. And do you have employees? Do you have any intentions to expand?
I do want to expand. I do, hire other consultants for tasks and things like that. But sometimes I am a one-woman show, Sometimes it's just me and jack of all trades.
Yeah, yeah. But you love it, right? You make your own hours.
Oh, yeah.
Do that whole thing.
It's totally rewarding.
Yeah. What's been the difference between working for clients versus architects, decorating versus full-service interiors, working with the seller, doer model? And tell me, what does that mean, seller, doer model?
Seller, doer model is... I'm pretty much doing all the work and also hustling for new projects. So I'm also networking and selling the services that I do. And then I have to also go and execute the design, the drawings, the concept, and then also site visits, all the things that come with being a designer.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't need an intern?
You
kind of just talked me into thinking you need one.
I do. I've gotten to the point where I do need an assistant or an intern. But it's a challenge because I also need that person to be a jack of all trades as a small business.
Yeah.
And online services like Fiverr are amazing to get some things done.
What do you use Fiverr for sometimes?
Rendering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rendering mostly.
Yeah.
And it's every project's a little different depending on if you're working directly with the client or if you're working with an architect or a business owner. Working with other professionals is definitely a lot easier, working with architects, because they understand the process. And when you're working with a small business owner or a residential client, you kind of have to educate them on how the process works.
Yeah, exactly. So do you charge a different, does it make you charge a different fee? Because
yes.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. There's an education fee is what I call it.
And psychology, too.
A psychology fee. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so everybody who's listening, don't be afraid of that and understand that. I think that's something that you're listening to two professionals talk about, like curtailing your fees to specific clients and categorically. You know, I think it makes all sense in the end of the day. Well, since you've been, you're fairly new business, within 4 years. A lot of them, I'm not saying you're going to do this, a lot of them fail within the first 7 years. You probably heard that too as a small firm owner. So on that note, what is one piece of advice you would give someone who is considering to take the leap that you just did?
I would definitely start while you're employed at the 9-to-5. Start meeting people, start networking, and taking on, jobs where you can moonlight, so you can get a network going before you take the leap. And also, there's no sugarcoating it. It's hard. When you're working for a 9-to-5 or a company, it's a different type of stress than when you're the business owner.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that last statement 100%. And that's why, at the end of the day, owners should get the profit, is because when you go home, when a 9-to-5 employee goes home, they might think about work after that. But probably not as much as a business owner. That's all they think about, right?
Yeah.
And you wake up, and one of the mentalities that I always try to stay in is like, I wake up starving every day. I'm hungry, and I need to make money, and I got to make sure everybody else eats before I eat, and then I get to eat at the end of the day, right? Yeah. What is one mistake you've made so far in your own business that you feel comfortable sharing with us so that other startups might avoid those same mistakes?
So, kind of underestimating what I'm worth, lowering my fees, and then coming to realize that, halfway through the project, the owner or the business owner actually has a bigger budget than what they let on in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
So it's hard because when you're a small business owner, you want the work, and you're, I don't want to say desperate, but you want that project.
Yeah.
So you can't talk yourself into giving things away because you got to eat too. You got bills to pay too. You have consultants or other employees depending on you.
Do you think there was ever an instance where, because I know this has happened to me, where you get hungry and you go into a sales meeting and you seem a little desperate to where somebody sees that and they go, I'm not going to hire that person because maybe they realize like you don't have enough meat on your bone in that contract that like you're not going to be able to provide them that extra service that's necessary.
I've definitely have seen that. I've seen it from both perspectives, trying to hire someone and trying not to be that person. Confidence is everything.
It is.
Because when you're a business owner, you can be creative and solve those problems. You can hire someone to do it. Or I would just say show confidence up front. You're going to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. And be okay with being a little bit afraid, even though you're confident, exterior doesn't say that, right? Because that's what everybody's hiring us for.
Yeah.
Is they're hiring us for the confidence, and they want to know, like, I hired the right person, they're going to solve that problem. I don't have to deal with that. Like you said earlier about the builders, right? They don't want to design that stuff. They just want it to be done and done correctly, and so then they can do the rest of their job correctly. Yeah, I think that's great. So I had your husband on a different episode, and you've also decided to take the real estate development plunge with the project you and he have titled Spaceman House. What prompted you guys to take the plunge, and then what's it like working with a joint venture with your husband?
I'm so excited about this project. So inspired by Joshua Tree and the location, and that's kind of what led to this. We love stargazing and hiking and taking the dog out. We were out there stargazing one night, and we thought about it and we're like, we could do this. We could totally do this. And we could use it as a portfolio builder. And because it's our own funded project, we can really explore the design side of it. And working with him, it's interesting. Let's just say that.
That was the best part of the podcast. I've been waiting to ask you that question. I was hoping it was a joint venture so you could. I was just waiting for it.
I love him to death, but architects are their own breed. Let's just say that. And
how does it intersect? Because before you hold that thought about how you would answer that, because like with me and my wife, I did most of the space layout and the bones and the structure, and then I would say delicatized it. She had the feminine touch about the whole thing, and then it was like, she did the exterior materials, interior materials. She did do some floor plan. How does it intersect with you guys?
Well, first of all, we have the same vision. We agreed on the vision from the beginning. So he is handling the architecture, making sure that the views are aligned of the mountains and things like that. But when it comes to the interior finishes, what I bring to the table is making it softer, tactile, so that it feels comfortable and cozy and not too modern for the setting either, because it is a little bit of a rustic setting. So I'm really looking forward to just hitting those thrift stores and really seeing what I can find in Joshua Tree instead of trying to make it something that it's not,
Yeah, so more like in situ of the place, sort of thing. Very cool. Well, yeah. And then anybody who wants to follow along, you guys are posting this on a website, right?
Yes, Spaceman House.
Very cool. Yeah, there is no better way to market yourself or to have a portfolio piece than build your own house.
Yeah,
it has paid off dividends for me and my wife over and over again. Just the fact that you can say, like, look, we designed and built our house. And then you can bring people in and showcase that. Do you have any plans for like how you like doing open houses or anything like that after you guys are done, like client appreciation days or something like that, or like a evening?
Promotion online through our own businesses, also through AVR Interior Design and Instagram, and also promoting it. We want to Airbnb it.
Oh,
so promoting that, but it's also our house, so. We have a big network of friends that are also in the industry. We plan on having a big party and showing it to our industry friends and things like that.
Yeah, very cool. Well, good luck to you guys. I mean, there's nothing, it's one of the most stressful, fun things you'll ever do in your life.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people get to do it, so cherish it. Trust me.
Yes.
Okay, switching gears. I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I've been asking everybody at the conference. Okay. And I know you've heard them, but I want to get your take. Everybody's got a different take on it. So with the exponential growth of technology we've seen in the last century, it seems that automation is inevitable. Are you at all worried that we will lose our professions to automation?
I think it's something that we have to grow with and use to our advantage, because creatively, there's always going to be a human aspect to creativity. We know how to connect with other people, and you can't automate that. So the creativity has to be put into this automation. Yeah.
You can't connect with the robot. I agree. I mean, robots can't connect to robots. I can't remember. Do you remember when I think Google made the 2 robots, or China or something like that? And they ended up like going crazy. They put them in a room and they just ended up like doing really, really crazy stuff. So yeah, there's always got to be a human touch to the thing. Yeah. If we can I'm hoping that society doesn't get, we don't try to legislate ahead of the whole thing, and we just like, no, let's just adapt. Humans are adaptable. We've been here for hundreds of thousands of years. So
yes.
All right. 3D printing was expected to transform architecture and construction, but uptake of it has been slow. Once the technology has been adopted, how do you see architects or interior designers adopting it, and will it usher back in the architect as the master builder?
Again, I think the creative aspect isn't there. I think it has to have a human touch to it. It's easy to see it happening in small things, in decor or small components. I think we're a long ways away before we can 3D print a house or a whole building. There's still going to be some coordination there. I think it's another aspect that we have to use to our advantage, because it'll probably make for better products and better buildings.
Yeah. And there's, I've always thought, like, what if there's a backlash in the opposite way of people saying, like, no, I want a hand plastered finish, and then all of a sudden it becomes like there's all these artisanal trades, and then the humans are like right back in the whole thing. I mean, that's entirely possible, right, from a finish standpoint.
Yeah, I actually see that quite a bit. There's a purity aspect to something being real and, something that's authentic. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. It's still kind of an exclusive thing because it's not a mass-produced thing.
Yeah. Okay, last one. It's been 10 years since the Great Recession, and it seems like we are due for another one. What is one piece of advice you would give to a small firm architect or business owner as we near the end of this business cycle?
I think that's inevitable. There's always going to be ups and downs in the economy, and I think diversifying and being open to doing other project typologies, trying something new, or being an ambassador for other people also, teaming up with people. I don't think that it's ever a bad thing to really explore all your options.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need them at some point.
Right. I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on Inside the Firm today, Arlynn. Where can people follow you and get in touch with your company?
avrinteriordesign.com is my website, and on Instagram also AVR Interior Design.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
And now, a word from one of our sponsors.
Hey everybody, if you are trying to learn Revit, I think you should learn from yours truly, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. We have a website called RevitRocketship.com. We've been training university students, other professionals, our own staff for many, many, many years, and we made it available online at RevitRocketship.com. And what's great about it is that it's broken down into 5 to 7 minute chunks, plus or minus on some of them. Teaches you everything from families to a whole project base. And one of the differentiators, I think, there's actually two major ones. One is we're an actual firm, F9productions.com, that does a lot of work. So we are implementing practices that are true. And what that means is that we're modeling like it gets built. We're doing our walls a little bit different. You'll see in the videos of why we do it, but it actually works out in the end to create a better model. We've trained a lot of people, so this is not our first go around. And the other thing too is that you get our template. You get the actual template that we use, hone, develop, and improve every year in that system. So it's for free. So if you were starting a residential project, you'd start off on that. It'd have everything set up the way that we like, the way that helps you go faster, build cooler things, and be more awesome. So check that out, RevitRocketship.com.